Why are not all healings instantaneous? If healings are due to practitioner's consciousness, well, this person did not quite catch that significance as I brought it out. To begin with, all healings are not instantaneous because the practitioner is not always in that divine state of consciousness, and sometimes has to lift themselves there, as Jesus did, by going away for 40 days and resting and communing with God. Sometimes the practitioner is so weighted down with practice, teaching, writing, business, financing, all the things that go to make up this work, that they have momentary periods of not being on cloud 8. If all patients and students had the consideration for practitioners and teachers that they should have, there would be a great help in that direction. If all patients and students were as liberal in their contributions to this work, it would help to alleviate the situation so that practitioners could stay up in heaven. But when the situation is such that, and it happens, believe me, it happens, that people call hours and hours and hours during the night on the phone for nonsensical reasons, like, well, I'm not asleep, will you give me some help? Maybe just the practitioner's hour of sleep. No practitioner objects to being called, I mean no serious practitioner, objects to being called any time in the 24 hours. Even though the practitioner were on the mountaintop. And for argument's sake, let's agree that Jesus was generally on the mountaintop, yet he did not many mighty works in Jerusalem because of their unbelief. And so the patient has something to do with it. I brought that out the other day. When I say in my writings that the practitioner accepts the responsibility, I meant it in this way, that the practitioner has no right to say to the patient, if you read 20 pages of my books every day, or if you come to my services or my lectures, or if you tithe with me, or if you're grateful to me, that's what I mean the practitioner has no right to do. It is the practitioner's duty and privilege to know the truth about the spiritual nature of the patient. But how can the practitioner be responsible, let us say, if the patient is dividing allegiance between metaphysics and medicine? How can the practitioner be responsible if the patient is dividing their allegiance between God and a pill? Now, one of the main considerations of the Master was, do you believe that I can do this? And never once did he say, do you believe that I and the doctor can do this? Or I and the medicine bottle. But he specifically said, do you believe that I can do this? The I meaning this spiritual work, this God power. Now, in many of these metaphysical movements, they try to combine materia medica and prayer. And I'm sure that every once in a while they accidentally have a healing. But they can't have many of them on purpose, because that is not the nature of spiritual activity to lend itself to a house divided against itself. To a person who is declaring in one breath, I am spiritual, hand me those vitamin pills. Now, that is one reason why or another reason why all healings are not instantaneous healings. If the patient went to the practitioner with the same faith that the woman pressed through the throng just to touch the hem of the robe, and the practitioner knew enough of truth not to be sympathetic with evidences of disease, I'm sure we'd have many more instantaneous healings than we have. Another reason is this. There is the element of time and economics. How many practitioners have the time when they come to severe cases to drop everything else and sit with that one case all day or all week until it's healed? Now, you know, I really believe that any case and every case in the world is possible to heal. I don't believe anything's impossible to God, But just as I've told you that I have had to sit up all night sometimes to bring out the case, could I do it every night? No, I couldn't. Could I do it every day? No, I couldn't. I could hardly do it one day. And so there are probably cases that I cannot meet under present conditions that I could meet if I had nothing to do but go to my room and sit there and work until it was met, or go to the bedside of the patient and sit there until it was met. I have seen many, many cases broken by the ability to go and just sit there for 6, 8, 9, 10 hours until the response came. Why? It isn't impossible. It isn't that there's any disease to overcome. It's a realization of God to be achieved. That, you must remember, is the healing principle. A realization of God is the healing principle. Now, give a practitioner enough time to attain that realization, and I don't see any reason why they can't bring out almost any case in the world. But the economic system is such that we just can't throw all of our work over and devote it to one patient, no matter how near dying they may be. That's the sad part of it. We are not in the position to throw all our work, all our student work, all our practice work over and say, I will do this. We can do it at times. Oh, yes, indeed. When calls come, I have, my wife could testify for me better than I can myself, the amount of nights that we spend sitting up just to break cases of that kind that are in difficulty. And but there again, it is just a matter of you can do it here and there because the time and opportunity permits. But if the time and opportunity permits, you can't do it. And when a case is not met, especially when the patient is contributing their part in the right reliance on the work, and it still isn't met, it probably is because the practitioner didn't have that opportunity or occasion to sit by for a day or 2 or 3 or 5 until it was broken. Those are the reasons for not having instantaneous healings, and there are probably other reasons, but those are the main ones that I have come in contact with. But if you're in need of an instantaneous healing, for heaven's sakes, come to the practitioner with clean hands. Leave all that medicine bottles behind. Place your entire reliance on the great truth that I and the Father are one, and that's all we have to demonstrate.